In my old work, I ignored the audience and wrote video love letters to a fictional girl that I named Ivory, who was the girl of my dreams, who I would find on the internet. Nowadays, I interact with the audience as they could be anyone, but my old work used to just speak to a specific girl, which is the girl that I hope to find and create a romance with. Doing this enabled me to be very romantic, even though there was no real girl involved. A fictional girl was involved because I was constantly talking to her. I liked that style of portraying meaning, and I might come back to using it to some extent in my future productions. I would have to think very carefully as to how to do it. Ultimately, it failed in my past work and didn't receive me an engaging audience. So maybe there's just some lessons that I can learn that can help me be more romantic in my productions. I think doing it that way alienated the audience because most of the time they knew that they weren't this girl that I was speaking to, so they weren't interested in hearing what I had to say because I wasn't speaking to them, I was speaking to this girl. 10 years of work doing that got me nowhere. So I had to start over. Doing that mostly attracted haters. There was not a single person from my old audience that I wanted to carry over to my new audience. So it was pretty easy to restart. But I learned lessons from the mistakes that I made in my old work, and now I consider my work to be a much higher quality. Each video kind of still is like a love letter because they are generally very obvious that I'm looking for a partner. So I'm still achieving the same aspects that I was achieving in my old work, but this time I have an audience who I can communicate with who could be anybody instead of that audience member being my soulmate. I guess it was very cute just making love letter videos to a single girl who that girl could be anybody. How many more love letters do I have in me? every video is a love letter, hoping to attract the right girl. Please do like the video. You know it helps me out, so it would mean a lot to me if you liked it. The format is much better now because I can engage with the audience instead of just focusing on one girl who's most likely not watching it. But it was so romantic. If you want to talk to me, join my Discord or email me. The information is in the description. The question has always been, how can I romance a girl into philosophy? How do I find a pretty girl who wants to dedicate her life to philosophy? It would be much better if I had a real girl to make romantic videos to. Well, that's the goal, but how achievable is it? What are the heights of two hearts and two minds working towards a similar goal? If you want to help me, you can always recommend my channel to a pretty lady. I wouldn't even know how to start back something like that, because Ivory is what I have always called her, and I don't really want to use names because that identifies a certain person, and I want this person to be uniquely themselves and not what I ascribe upon them. It's difficult writing letters to a fictional person without ascribing characteristics to them. That's why it's probably best to steer clear of that type of presentation. It alienates the audience and they feel disconnected from the information. Like they're just viewing someone else's psychosis, which in a very real way, that was what it was. Sophia says to subscribe, but we learn from the past, and I can still figure out ways to be romantic in my films. I appreciate your attention span. Until next time, this is Wendell, signing off.